Hi, it's Megan Dorsey with College Prep Results. Do you want your student to be doing more to prepare for this fall's PSAT or SAT? If you're like me, you maybe have a student who's home for part of the summer and needs a little extra to do to brush up on academic skills. Today I'm going to give you the number one thing that I'm asking all of my private tutoring students to do in addition to the work we're doing to prepare for the PSAT and SAT. And what that is to use the free tutorials here on Khan Academy. I have right here on my screen already logged into Khan Academy. Your login is free. There is no charge. And the great thing is that College Board has partnered with Khan Academy to offer these tutorials. So they are using official SAT questions, PSAT questions, straight from the College Board. And as I've mentioned in so many of my blog posts and videos, that is essential to good preparation. So I'm pointing you in the direction of good quality materials. A lot of things you can do from this page. Analyzing your test scores, signing in. But here's what I really do. I'm going to skip all of that and I'm going to go to this second tab right here next to Dashboard, Practice. And it's going to open up a page that looks like this. I've got math, reading and writing, and essay as my three choices. I'll start with math. I've clicked on that. I'm going to skip the diagnostic quiz, although for students who have extra free time, sure, go ahead and do it. But for me, the required work would be this. Scroll on down to where we're getting practice questions and how-to videos. We'll start off here with their first category of math, Heart of Algebra. Going to go through algebra review. And the first thing I want students to do is go to these how-to example videos over on the right. I'm going to click Basic Example. Notice it's opening a new tab for me. And the first thing I do is I pause the video. Before it starts describing to me how to solve it, I pause it and I want to see if I can answer it on my own. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my paper and pencil because the SAT is still a paper and pencil test. It is not given online like so many of those graduate school exams are. And I'm going to work this problem, paper and pencil. If I have the answer and I'm pretty confident in my work, I can hit play, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward myself all the way to the end and check my result. Woohoo! I got it right. I'm done. I don't need to spend my time watching that minute or 2-minute video because I already knew how to complete the problem. If that's the case, then I can move over to the next video, which is the same concept. Here it's solving linear equations, but it's a harder example. So click on the harder example, same thing. I pause right away and work the problem. It even looks a little more complex just by looking at this. If at any point the student gets stuck, well, all they're going to do is hit play and begin listening to the full explanation. Now, they're usually explaining these the way a math teacher would, which means they're going through the mathematical concepts. It's why I want students doing this. It's a review of math. But what it is not a great test prep review. In other words, if I were teaching someone to prepare fully for the SAT or PSAT, I might include a lot more strategies and shortcuts than you're going to find available here in the Khan Academy material. But this material is good, solid review of the mathematical concepts. Again, I think I've got the answer right. I fast forward to the end. Oh, yes, if I'm right, great. If not, go through, watch the video once, twice, 3, 4 times, however many it takes to begin understanding the concept. And then what I'm going to do, before jumping into the next concept, I'm going to go back to where I was here in that practice tab. I've seen the 2 videos. I've checked my comprehension under solving linear equations. So I'm going to move over to this button where it says practice. When I do that, it pops up on the screen for me a couple of questions. And the nice thing is, the student has the question, the multiple choice answers, and then can select an answer. Now you can see down here at the bottom my tracking. Well, I'm about ready to miss another one because here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to pick the first answer. And then it says check answer. I click that and there it is in red. Oh, it tells me a little bit about why it's wrong. And they highlight the correct answer. And scrolling down, I can see an explanation of that problem. I can read over that. This is wonderful because it allows students to practice in more depth than just those 2 videos exactly what was being taught, in this case, my solving of equations. I kind of like it as a parent because it gives me a little way to peek in and look on tracking. I know that some students are very self-motivated. They're going to completely do this on their own. Others might not. And this could be a way for mom and dad to open up and see how we're doing. I would not expect a student to get all of these right. I would expect for them to be learning from the things they miss. And if you're starting to see a track record with a lot of incorrect answers, then it might be time to talk about, do we need to get additional tutoring, or do we already know there's a big gap in our mathematical learning, and are we still filling that in? In other words, this could be a way to tip you off that there might be a problem before you invest in something like a prep class or private tutoring. So I'm going to go back to where I was initially on my practice. That's what I'd like students to do in math. And really, I'd go through every single topic. One of the things that frustrates me about this new revised SAT math curriculum is they label things like Passport to Advanced Mathematics. I can't tell you what that really means. It's more advanced. It doesn't correlate really well to algebra, geometry type things we study in school. If you look at the titles here, you can see, radicals and nonlinear graphing and more expressions. A lot of that is material students get into further into algebra and well into Algebra 2 courses. So again, if you're looking over your students' homework and you're seeing that they're missing a lot in this advanced math, but they have yet to take Algebra 2 in school, that might be an explanation for why they're missing problems. We go through to problem solving and data analysis and some additional topics in math. A lot of these additional topics pick up geometry concepts. But however they divide it, all of this is good material. All of these are concepts that are regularly tested on the SAT and PSAT, and understanding that is the first step to getting a strong score. Back up to the top, I'm going to click over to reading and writing, the second part of your score. You get 2 scores on the current test. The first one is evidence-based reading and writing, and that's what we're looking at right here. Again, I'm going to skip the quiz and I'm going to scroll down a little bit. I'm not really impressed with the reading examples they have. Yes, it's more good practice, but I don't think there are as many concepts that students need to review. So I tell all of my clients, you can skip this part. The thing that's really important that I don't want them to skip is the grammar and usage review. This is a majority of the questions on the writing portion of evidence-based reading and writing. And really, instead of calling it writing, they should call it grammar review. You can see a lot of topics here. Punctuation, parallel structure, subject-verb agreement, noun agreement, pronouns. And before you say to yourself, but shouldn't my high schooler know this already? Yes and no. What I've found is that a lot of high schools are so busy trying to put things in the curriculum of their English classes. Those teachers are teaching vocabulary, composition, research, literature, reading and analysis, that they often don't have time to take out a couple weeks or even multiple days to review grammar and usage. In fact, I remember when I was in high school, I had English teachers give this instruction: do what sounds right. Now, I grew up with 2 English teachers for parents, so what sounded right to me probably was right, as I had been corrected since I was a little girl. But for a lot of us, if you've grown up speaking something close to proper English, do what sounds right works in your own writing, in your own compositions. But the test writers here know that, and they exploit that. And what we find is students pick what sounds right, and they miss questions. Because those SAT writers know how to write a question that sounds good, but is technically wrong. And they know how to write other sentences that just make me shudder. Oh, it sounds terrible, but it is technically correct. So sounds good grammar is not going to be enough to make top scores on the writing portion of the SAT. What students need is they need an update to the grammar they've learned as children. And this is how I explain it to most of my students. Most of my students have taken some version of American history in elementary school, in middle school, and then again in high school, each at progressively higher levels. What they learn in elementary school is a very simplified version. We might learn in American history that we fought the Civil War to free the slaves. Yes, but by the time a student has taken American history in high school, they could say, well, yes, slavery was one of the many causes of the Civil War. There were other social and economic and political factors that went into it. Saying it was just about slavery is overly simplistic and leaves out some key data. Our students learn about subject-verb agreement error in elementary school, or pronouns or commas. And if they haven't gotten that higher level high school update, they're probably going to be fooled by some of these sounds good answers on the SAT. So same approach to the writing as I would take with the math. I start with the basic example. I watch the video. I go to the harder example. If I've got them right, excellent. I click over here to practice, and I begin off with no questions marked as complete down here at the bottom, and a clean slate to begin working. If I get it wrong or right, it's going to tell me. Here I'm going to select no change, just the first one. Oops. And notice how they give a little bit of an explanation. For many students, this plus the video will be enough for them to get this right, but maybe not. When in doubt, notice up here at the top, we've got a video working through different punctuation questions covering the same material. This is the same basic and harder example you would have gone through before, but for a student who continues to miss questions, it might be worth reviewing. I can go back out, scroll back up to the top. The essay is something that is not included on the PSAT. It is the SAT only. It is optional. I don't require my students to do it. So 2 things that I think are great review over the summer or any time you want to prepare for either taking a prep course or taking the exam. And that's the math and the writing. When my students do this on their own independently, I know they're getting the content review, and then I can spend my time with them on more sophisticated strategies and test-taking approaches because I don't have to go back and reteach them things that ideally they would have learned before. I hope this is helpful information on how to get started on some SAT or PSAT review. If you ever have any questions about this, ACT, or college admissions, please go over to my Facebook page for college prep results and ask them there on the page. I'm always happy to answer, and if you ask them there on Facebook, I can share that result with others. Have a great week, everyone.